my camera. There we go. Good morning. It's so great to see you all this morning. I've got something really special that I want to share with you this morning. And one of my coaches challenged me to share it. I had been hesitating actually sharing it publicly because I didn't want it to come across as look at what I did or look at what I what I accomplished. And she said, you know, Scott, you should really share that because that could inspire people to be ready for an opportunity when it presents itself. And I've talked about John Maxwell many times here on this call, but I want to share with you one of the things so important to me about him. See, in 2012, my dad passed away. He was 51 years old at the time, and I had a great relationship with him. I would literally talk to him every single day on my way home from the office. And when he passed away, I didn't get to do that anymore. And I you know, those conversations that you have with your father, you can't really replace with anyone. Same thing with any parent, your mom, your dad, even your grandparents. But you ask him for advice. You talk to him about things that are going on. And I didn't have that. So I was introduced to this person named Dr. John Maxwell through books. And it turned out that he had most of those books all recorded. And in those moments where I would normally have a conversation with my dad on my way home from the office, I'd pop in a CD and I'd listen to John Maxwell. And that took the place at that point in time, as close as it possibly could, and I still do it today. I'll listen to John Maxwell in some way, shape, or form at least once a day. Because the advice and the things that I get from him, to me, feels just like hearing from your dad. So back in 2018, I was at an event that I go to every single year called the John Maxwell Exchange. And this year we were in Charlotte, North Carolina. And they shared with us that at the following year, we were going to be doing it in Beverly Hills. And in Beverly, California, we're going to have an opportunity to do this thing called a Shark Tank experience. Now, Shark Tank, not the kind where you go in with sharks, but they invited Barbara Corcoran to be one of the speakers at this event. And because they invited Barbara, they said, hey, here's what we're going to do. We're going to give people who are interested in doing this an opportunity to present for a nonprofit that they're passionate about to win $20,000. I thought, okay, from that moment right there, when I heard that, that they were going to give a couple of people an opportunity to do a presentation for a nonprofit that they cared about, and that person was going to be, those people were going to be able to give a presentation to John Maxwell and to Barbara Corcoran, I was like, man, I'm getting ready today for something that's not going to happen for 365 years or 365 days, not 365 years, 365 days. Because I didn't want to give an opportunity up that would allow me to stand in front of somebody who mentored me and put the skills and things that I've learned from them to use. Some amazing things happened that day. And I could share them with you, but I thought today I would show them to you. First thing I'm going to do is show you the video where I gave a presentation for an organization in Georgetown, Texas called Brookwood in Georgetown. Brookwood in Georgetown is a organization that helps adults who have graduated out of the education system that have special needs. It helps them to find a place to feel connected and gives them jobs so that they are able to have a sense of belonging and be a part of a community with other people who are like them and contribute back in an even greater way to the community in Georgetown, Texas. So I'm going to share with you that video. And then after I share those things. I'm going to share with you what happened after that video. And then finally, I'm going to wrap it up with John Maxwell sharing what he learned from me that day. So I'm going to share my screen now. Remember, this is not me bragging about what I've done. I want to show you today how preparation is so important. And when the opportunity presents itself, it's too late to prepare. So make sure that you're always preparing for the things that you want in life, because they will present themselves. And if you're not ready, it'll be too late.
In Georgetown, please join me in welcoming Scott Toller.
These are gifts that the citizens of Brookwood and Georgetown have made specifically for each of you today. So I want to talk about Brookwood and Georgetown. It was created by a wonderful lady named Erin Hills. And as we know, that there's two extremely important days in a person's life: the day they're born and the day they find out why. For Erin Hills, the day that she was born, it was obviously important. The day she found out why and found out what her purpose was the day her daughter was born with special needs. And she made it her purpose from that day on to answer two questions. What is my daughter's life going to look like when she's an adult? And what is her life going to look like when I'm no longer here? And that's when Brookwood and Georgetown was truly formed. And Brookwood and Georgetown is a God-centered vocational community for adults with special needs that helps them have a sense of belonging in a community that necessarily hasn't grasped on to their full potential as individuals. One of our greatest success stories is this gentleman named Eric. Eric came to us about 4 years ago, and when he introduced himself, he had his head down and he said, "My name's Eric and I have autism." And through the stories that we have with him and the potential that we helped him to unlock within himself, when you go to Brookwood and Georgetown now, he's there to greet you in the cafe, and he says, "My name's Eric and I have 4 A's. I'm athletic, I'm artistic, I am able, and I am awesome." His entire mindset has changed because we've given him a sense of belonging. The opportunity that we have is we only have space for 48 citizens right now. And we plan to expand to 80. And obviously that's going to take a little bit of money. So $20,000 would help us immensely in building a 7,500 square foot building where we could add an additional 30 citizens throughout the day. And even on and further beyond that, we plan to expand into surrounding communities. And we actually have people moving to Georgetown from other parts of the country to be part of this program because it's so unique. And then to answer that second question, what does life look like when the parents are no longer here, is this place right here. 2 separate homes that we already have the property for, that we're going to build 2 homes on, one that will house 10 gentlemen and one that will house 10 ladies. And when the time comes for them to need that full-time care when their parents are no longer here, this is a place where they can belong. I would ask that you would partner with me in helping us to make this a reality of not only the city of Georgetown, but throughout the entire United States of America by planting communities like this all over our country. Thank you.
48 kids are housed now. Is there an age when they are no longer?
They're actually not housed. They are in activities throughout the day that we have. It's from 8 a.m. in the morning until about 5 o'clock in the afternoon. And it's not just activities that they're doing. They're working in the store that we have. They're making the food that we have. Actually, there's fudge that they've prepared in there for each of you. They do pottery, and they've created crosses for each of you, and it's got their names on the back of them as well. And it really just gives them a sense of belonging in the community.
And once the parent dies, how do you fund them? That must be massively expensive.
It is massively expensive, and we don't accept government funding because it's very important for us to be a Christ-centered organization. And there's a lot of extra paperwork you have to go through if you have government funding, and the likeliness that you continue to do that gets less and less. So we do a ton of fundraisers throughout the year, from golf tournaments to other things that really fund this. The tuition for each individual who's a member of our community is $800 a month. The reason for that is we really worked to get that number down through fundraising.
Thank you so much.
And so, what's your budget a year?
It's $1.8 million per year to run the organization. Last year we did have a revenue of about $200,000, which we reinvested into creating more infrastructure for the program.
Okay. So that was the first one, and I want to share with you who I presented up against. The first guy, I was presenter number 3. The first gentleman presented for the University of Pennsylvania, and he presented a 3D rendering of a heart. Okay, and this is for children, and what he did was he said, you know, parents and children oftentimes when they go in for a procedure, especially where a child's having a heart procedure, they've got a lot of questions. And he said, so what we do is we present we do a 3D scan of the heart, and then we print a copy of the child's heart so that we can sit there and show them with a copy of their heart in our hands. Here's the procedure. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to go right here and we're going to adjust this one thing. And as soon as he starts talking about a human heart in children, I'm thinking, man alive, I've lost the battle here. Yet I was extremely intentional in my preparation for this, and I decided to do something leading up to that day. And here's the next 2 things that I want to share with you.
I knew these guys, but man, they went to a whole new level today. One more time now that they're all up here, would be good right here, they want you in order. And then in the order that there you go right there. All right?
I think I'm gonna just have to walk over and put my hand on the winner. Should I justify why the winner's the winner?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yes.
Or why the loser's the loser? Which would you rather have?
But we take on the spirit of you, it's going to give us a real sense of encouragement.
Don't choose me, boy. Already.
All right, so that's where she told me that I was the winner. And I want to share with you this next part, because this is where the preparation came in.
Well, actually, that's what my next question is.
Yes.
Would you guys allow us to split the money between our 3 organizations? Because we have a matching grant at Brookwood and Georgetown right now that will actually match donations up to $700,000. So a third of that is really 2 times the money for us.
I think that is incredibly generous. But John, I'm going to go prepare another check.
Give it to all of them.
You can hold it, you know.
Hold it between the 3 of them.
In front of them, because really, Scott, you know, you say you have a matching, so what I'm understanding right, if we gave you 10,000, it would become 20.
Absolutely.
But we're giving you 20.
So giving us 20 would be 40.
What's the idea?
My idea is, I think you should keep the 20 for your organization. They'll match it with another 20. Wait, I need Mark Cuban here.
So we're 40.
I know that's 40. 2 and 2 is 4.
This is good. This is
Wait,
good.
no, it's not good. It's embarrassing.
No, that's even making it better, to be honest with you.
I had a great idea. It went something like where it landed was you got the 20, you got another 20 from the matching, and then you gave that 20 to them, so you get 20, they get 10 and 10. Can you follow that? I can't.
Yeah. In other words, if we give you 20 and they match it, are you able then to take that 20 and give each one of them $10,000?
No. Lawyers
Because
are not going to let you do that.
if we give him less money, Barbara.
She looks bossy and she's saying.
I don't think the lawyers are going to let you do that.
Okay, well, forget it. That was a much more bad idea.
That right there is the problem. We've allowed attorneys to come into this situation. We're in the spirit of giving and generosity and changing lives, and then we get an attorney coming. You know what I'm saying? Now, I can do that with Davis. Davis is a great
I
friend.
have another thing. I'll match the 20. I'll give you 10. I'll give you 10. You keep the 20 and go back and, you keep the 20. Go back and run the train right out.
The reason we brought Barbara along is because she is the star. I mean, we watched her on Shark Tank, and you just saw an incredible, wonderful, generous gesture from you, and also the reason why, that she's so brilliant as a great business lady. But I have a suggestion. We'll take yours, but you give him 20, you 10. So we've really now moved this up to 40. And the two that only got 10, I'll give each one of them 10. So we now got 20, 20, and 20.
Now the check works again.
So I share this with you because when you have a generous heart and you decide to give back to the community that you're in and the people who surround yourself with, your generosity multiplies. What happened there was intentional on my part. I had decided before I even got there that if I won that competition, I was going to ask if we could share it between all three of the presenters. And when I did that, something incredible happened. What happened was that generosity encouraged other people to then be generous as well. Now, how does this apply to business? Well, it applies to business because when you step out of your comfort zone, when you choose to do things differently, it encourages other people around you to show up and do things differently as well. Now, the last part that I want to share with you is just a recording, but it's probably my most prized possession because it is John Maxwell sharing the lesson that he learned from me that day.
So
I'd give you one, but we're going to London.
there you go. My fault.
When you told Scott that people weren't even here, could come for $1,000, that was a raise there, friend. Scott. Hey, Scott. I know this is, it's beautiful. I told Scott this morning at breakfast. I went up and gave him a hug, and I said, Scott, maybe the most important lesson I learned this week was from you. Go back to the Shark Tank. When Barbara looked at him and said, you're the one that won it, what did this guy do? He said, well, I can literally get my gift matched, so let me have 10,000. Let me give these other guys the other 10,000, and I can get my 20,000 this way. And let me tell you something. You know that you've connected, Scott. You know that your generosity spirit has spilled over when Barbara. Do we remember Barbara? She said things this week I'll never forget. I've tried to wash it out of my mind, and I can't forget it. No, I loved her, and I love her, and I value her greatly. You know I'm happy. And she was extremely touched by that. But what did she do? She went over and she saw that spirit of generosity got to her. She said, I'll give you 20. And then Paul Martinelli, he looked at me a couple days ago on that Shark Tank. He said, well, can we spice that thing up a little bit? If somebody, and I said, I don't know if we want to do it or not. I said, 20 is the deal, and 20 works good. And I said, just give me the privilege of, if I think it's got some needs, it deserves spice to do it. And in fact, Paul told me right before the Shark Tank, he grabbed me again and said, John, I got some money for somebody if it's really good. And I said, well, let me just check, And when she said 20, after what you said, and then so I said 20. I mean, and by the way, Paul Martinelli was the seed thought on that. I mean, Paul has learned to be a tither. I'm so proud of him. I mean, he's a tither. I mean, he's a major. I mean, he's got this whole bless the Lord and bless the people of the Lord. He's got this charity thing down, and I'm really proud of you. It's one of the areas where I've done my best to be. When we started the company, I looked at him, and I looked at Scott, and I looked at Mark. I said, I want to say something about this. We're going to make some money, and we're going to help a lot of people. But you got to be a tither. You got to understand 10% goes to other people. And man, Paul, you've lived that and loved that, and you've modeled that for our whole faculty. You've modeled it for me, buddy, and I love it. But so we go back to you. You were generous, and so that 10 that you wanted to give, you got 20 now. You got to match it. So I'm assuming your 20 can be at 40. I'm assuming that, correct? And so she gave 20, and then Paul and I we're giving 20. You understand? And so all of a sudden we got $80,000, and it's all. And so I hugged him this morning at breakfast. I said, Scott, I said, gosh, buddy. Thank you. You taught me generosity to another level. And this is a story. Now watch this. This is what's beautiful. Here's what Scott said. 5 days ago, I planned intentionally. Intentional living, baby. I planned intentionally that if I won, I'd give half of it away. And when he said that so quickly, he said, boy, I mean, remember Scott said, well, I'd like to do this. I mean, and we all go, whoa, this is amazing. You see, he was already ready for his moment. What's John Wooden say when opportunity comes? It's too late to prepare. So Scott, you inspired all of us, buddy, by your generosity. Yeah, you did.
I want to encourage every single one of you today to do something, some kind of act of generosity to somebody, whether that's picking up the phone and telling them that you care about them, or waving at somebody who you think nobody's seeing. Generosity doesn't have to be monetary. It can be something that's a small act that you do for another person, but those small acts can become really big. I had no idea when I got on that stage that day that what I had already decided to do in my mind was going to turn into $80,000 when it was a $20,000 prize to begin with. Yet because I had prepared intentionally, incredible things happened. I want you to go out and live an intentional life. It doesn't mean plan every single aspect of your day, but when you take actions, think about them beforehand and say, okay, what do I really want to accomplish here? What will this do for me? And what other things could happen because of the action that I'm about to take? And then choose to take the action. I appreciate every single one of you for being here today. Is there anyone who would like to share anything? All right. Well, thank you guys so much for being here. Have an amazing day. Be generous, because giving back is good for you. It's good for others. And it can be really good for your business as well, because as Jeff Henderson teaches us in the book 4, most people expect the companies that they do business with to give back to the community, but less than 40% of companies actually do give back to the community. Everything you want in your life is right outside of your comfort zone. Choose today to be a little bit more uncomfortable so you can have everything in your life that you've always wanted. I appreciate you, and I can't wait to see you again tomorrow. And by the way, next Monday, I have a very special guest who went viral on YouTube for being ready when it was her moment. And she had been preparing her whole life and no one knew it. I appreciate you guys. Have an amazing day. Bye-bye.